Alicia Menendez, most of us in this country expect experienced people with expertise, real-world knowledge to be the ones put in leadership positions, especially in the highest positions of our government. As we've all seen, that is not always the case. And as a result, things can go wrong, very wrong, things that can lead to dire consequences, including risking national security and the lives of our men and women in uniform. That is why it is so alarming how Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has handled sensitive information concerning impending U.S. military strikes, using the commercial messaging app Signal not just once, but in 2 different group chats that we know of. The second one, for some reason, included his wife, his brother, and his personal attorney. Now, we have exclusive new NBC News reporting that it was the leader of the U.S. Central Command who shared the detailed information about those strikes with Hegseth. Get this, through a secured government system, as one is supposed to do with such information. And only minutes after receiving it, the former Fox and Friends weekend anchor turned to his personal phone and shared some of it on the 2 group chats. That's according to 3 U.S. officials with direct knowledge of those exchanges. President Trump, he continues to stand by Hegseth, even as there are growing calls from both sides of the aisle for Hegseth to be fired. Hegseth took to his former place of employment, his safe space, if you will, to defend his actions and point the blame to his recently ousted Pentagon deputies.
I look at war plans every single day. What was shared over Signal, then and now, however you characterize it, was informal, unclassified coordinations for media coordination and other things. That's what I've said from the beginning. Everything we do here is above board, trying to make sure that we safeguard information. In this point, those folks who were leaking, who have been pushed out of the building, are now attempting to leak and sabotage the president's agenda. Once a leaker, always a leaker.
Joining me now to break it all down, Rick Stengel, former Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy and Affairs and an MSNBC political analyst, and retired Lieutenant Colonel Amy McGrath, founder of Democratic Majority Action PAC. It is good to see you both. Rick Stengel, talk to me about the classified nature of all this material.
Yes. I mean, he did put lives at risk, but he's being extremely disingenuous, as are other people in the Trump administration, about saying that it's not classified. What people don't understand is that things don't automatically become classified. There are no words or letters that just come classified. They're classified if you put the information on a classified system, like the head of Central Command did. They're not classified if you put it on an open commercial source like Signal. Went back to the Hillary Clinton's emails. I mean, there's 2 sides. There's a classified side and a non-classified side. He is being untruthful when he says that that's not classified information because he put it in an open source thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense to me, though it also seems like a little bit of wiggle room he is trying to give himself. Amy McGrath, I mean, how much less safe are we today with Pete Hegseth at the helm of such an important agency?
Hugely unsafe. Here's why. Look, there is no wiggle room here. What he did, he put, and here's the thing. Number one, I flew 89 combat missions, strike missions in Iraq and Afghanistan. Time on targets, launch times, weapon times, or weapon, the types of weapons that you use, the types of aircraft that are flying, all of that stuff. The mission itself is classified. The mission itself is classified, and everybody knows that. And so that's the first piece. The second piece about this is it's not just Signal Gate 2, because in the first instance, he took this information and he sent it to people, other members of the cabinet. In this case, he's sending classified information to people he knows do not have a clearance. These are his friends and family. He knows these people should not get this information. So it's not just a mistake over an unsecure network. This is bigger than that. This is he willfully said and pushed out classified information to people that should not have it. It's bigger than that. And that makes him a threat to national security in the future, particularly because he won't take responsibility for it.
Right. And I think that is, in fact, the biggest point, which is not just about is acknowledging that there was a mistake. It is about the fact that he will not take any responsibility. And to the contrary, he's actually spending most of his time pointing fingers. Here's some of what he had to say this morning on Fox.
Secretary, do you think you take this job, you come in with war experience and all your great background, do you think there's a lot of people that don't want you there, and there's some type of deep state forces that want to make sure you don't stay there?
They've come after me from day one, just like they've come after President Trump.
Okay, so Rick, you posted today on X, quote, when people in government are focused on finding leakers and complaining about their bad press, that almost always means they are not focused on their actual job, which is going poorly. This isn't coming from some deep state. It's coming from his own employees.
Yes, I mean, he's blaming the deep state. He's blaming people in the Pentagon. By the way, the most repulsive thing was what the press secretary did when she said the whole Pentagon is against him. They're always blaming somebody else. Those men and women in the Pentagon also fought on the front lines. Now they may be bureaucrats or assistant secretaries, but every one of them has been in, like Amy, in Iraq and Afghanistan. So he is trying to deflect this. And it goes back to this problem that he is not qualified. The only thing he's interested in, like so many other cabinet members, is the performative aspect of the job. He's not actually interested in running the Pentagon, which he obviously doesn't know, which Representative Bacon called him an amateur. Everything he has done has been amateur hour.
Amy, I want you to take two pieces from me. I want to pick up on what Rick just said about Carolyn Levitt saying, well, the whole Pentagon is against him, what that means for morale among our service members. But then also the fact that you've got Democrats who've been calling since, Signalgate 1 for Hegseth to be removed or for him to be resigned. You can see their names and faces there. But you basically got just House Republican Don Bacon suggesting that this is not okay, saying yesterday, I'm not in the White House and I'm not going to tell the White House how to manage this, but I find it unacceptable and I wouldn't tolerate it if I was in charge. Amy, where are all the Republicans?
I don't know. They used to care about national security. They used to care about these sorts of things. And here's the thing. Pete Hegseth, he is losing, if he's not already lost, the trust and confidence of everybody in the DOD. And that is not a good place to be for our country, with the threats that we face today. He is a man of no integrity because everybody knows who has dealt with this type of information before that it is classified, and his repeated denials about this only make his case worse. And the other thing that is interesting to me when people say, oh, well, none of this stuff was classified, it came to him over at the SIPRNet. It came to him over a classified net. The CENTCOM commander gave it to him. So this is just ludicrous, and everybody sees that. I mean, the people in the Pentagon, they're not stupid. I mean, they don't trust this guy anymore.